Vice is a new comedy drama biopic that stars Christian Bale, Amy Adams, Steve Carell, and Sam Rockwell. It's written and directed by Adam McKay. If you don't know who Adam McKay is also the guy who made the film Big Short. So if you love that movie, I feel like you should be at least interested in seeing this one. What this movie is it's essentially a biopic about the life and times of Dick Cheney. It chronicles his rise. It chronicles his stint as the vice president under George W. Bush, in which, by all accounts in this movie, he's one of the most powerful vice presidents of all time. So if you come into this movie, be prepared to watch the ups and the downs of a political dick. Dick Cheney. Probably cost myself a few points in this review by being that corny, leading off into the positives, but I'm going to try to skip over that by actually talking about the things that I liked in this movie, because there's actually quite a bit I liked about it. For one thing, I like the style and the wit and the cleverness with which this movie was directed and written. They essentially could have taken the material that was involved with this movie and they could have made it a much heavier movie, a much more serious movie, a movie that focused a lot more on the actual politics that are involved in the movie. But instead, Adam McKay and his team approached this material with kind of a satirical edge to it. I would say that this movie is actually a lot funnier than I thought it had any right to be. In fact, there are several laugh-out-loud moments throughout the entire runtime. I'm not really a political guy. I'm not really into politics at all. I stay out of that. That's not my lane. I like staying in my lane. My lane is movies and big booties, okay? That's what I am here for. I'm here for all of that. I'm here for none of this involving politics. And at the same time, there are a lot of tongue-in-cheek political jokes and self-referential humor in this movie that made me laugh, and made me laugh pretty hard. I also gotta really praise the performances and the casting in this movie. Christian Bale is an absolute revelation as Dick Cheney. I remember growing up and seeing Dick Cheney on screen. I would see him walk, I would see him talk, I would see him be in these speeches on TV. Christian Bale absolutely encapsulates everything that you love or love to hate about Dick Cheney. The good, the bad, the ugly, everything in between. Christian Bale is Dick Cheney. He absolutely should get Oscar consideration. And I would say most of the actors and actresses in this film also deserve plenty of award consideration, like Amy Adams, for instance. Amy Adams plays Lynn Cheney, his wife, and she is kind of the perfect boiling ambition to match his quiet, reserved, calculated takes. Carell was great in this movie. Sam Rockwell was absolutely hilarious as a younger George W. Bush. It's not enough to get actors and actresses that look like these people. Like, you could get somebody that looks similar to them, and then you could use makeup and prosthetics and digital or whatever else you need to make it work. It's not just about looking the part. You have to actually be the part. That's why the casting in this movie is so perfect, because all the actors and the characters that they're playing perfectly match up with each other. They look, talk, act, sound like the characters that they're portraying, their mannerisms, everything about them that made them them. The actors perfectly pull that off on screen. I'd like to single out this movie for its musical score. I think the musical score in this movie was composed by Nicholas It starts with a B. That's all I really know. Musical score alternated between being really snappy and fun-loving, but then other times it got kind of heavy in terms of, holy shit, this is some real shit going on, and the music really sold you on that. It does tie a lot of the politics from back in the day, like the early 2000s or the late 90s or whatever, and it ties it to some of the political shit that's going on right now in America. Again, politics aren't really my cup of tea, but I gotta say, the way that this movie executed it with the humor and the cleverness of the writing, the great direction, and the terrific performances, I wouldn't mind seeing more movies like this, honestly. And it does try to overextend its reach. It becomes a little bit messy at times. What I mean by messy is that there are some curious edits in this movie that somehow make the movie feel both slow and fast. There are some moments in the movie where you feel like this is an important scene and it should be touched on and there should be more depth here, but then the movie's kind of touch and go with it. It like skims over and acts like it's not important. Other scenes that don't feel as important to the overall narrative of the movie, but the movie spends extra time focusing on these scenes that aren't important. It creates kind of a choppy editing mess for this movie. This movie jumps all over the place. It jumps between time periods. It jumps between characters. It jumps between tones. As a result, you have kind of a jumbled, incoherent narrative that doesn't always flow together. I'd probably say my biggest issue with the movie, though, is the over-reliance on narration and exposition. There is somebody narrating the story in this movie, and I'll be honest, at first it didn't really bother me because I understood they were setting up certain people and they were setting up certain characters. Then after a while, constantly having somebody talk to me in the movie, telling me what this person is, what's going on here politically, felt like the movie ignored one of the fundamental rules of screenwriting 101, which is show me, don't tell me. This movie told most of its story to me instead of actually letting me experience it firsthand. Vice was a really fun movie with great performances and some pretty good direction, even though the editing could have been better. I laughed a lot more in this movie than I thought I was going to, and I gotta say, it's a really good time at the movie, so if you have time before the holiday season, definitely go check out Vice. Vice was a pretty good time at the movies, and I'm going to leave it in the Silver Age for Man of Steel. And that's it. That's my last review of 2018. It's been a hell of a year, guys. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for sharing my videos. Any of you out there that do all of that, I appreciate you to the ends of the earth. Stay tuned for more videos. I have 2 more to do before the end of the year. My top 10 favorite films of the year, aka my Justice League. shittiest movies of the year, The Legion of Doom. I'll probably have those out in the next couple of days, so look forward to that. Please like and subscribe to the Superfan Show, and as always, if you like what you see, tell me how you feel, and stay tuned to hear more from the Man of Steel. Peace!